Rochester police are still working to try and find the person who threw a brick through a Monroe County probation vehicle on Saturday night. Police say the officers were sitting in a parked car outside of the Sunoco gas station on Portland Avenue when the brick came flying through the car, shattering the back window. The officers ran after the suspect, who escaped in the area of Clifford Avenue. This is the second time in only a few months where probation officers were put in harm's way. In May, officers were fired on while doing routine checks on J Street in Rochester. It's another example of the dangers of the job not too many people seem to know a lot about. YNN's Christina Dominguez went out for a ride-along with two probation officers. She joins us now with this story.
Monroe County Probation Officer Mike Stevens and Supervisor Todd Wersinger have more than 20 years' experience between them. Today, photographer Helen Moore and I put on bulletproof vests and went along to find out what they do every day at a job people don't seem to know a lot or have misconceptions about.
This is a person that's on probation with me, and specifically I deal with felony DWI convictions.
Mike needed to check on one of his probationers who recently moved.
Probation 234 to dispatch.
He came to do a walk through his house and have him blow into an alco sensor. His probationer is a vet who suffered a brain injury from an IED explosion in Iraq, came back home and got 2 DWIs. He was sentenced to 5 years probation. He's gotten treatment and never reoffended.
Unfortunately, the public, hears more about offenders on probation or parole that are non-compliant and not cooperative and committing new crimes than those success stories. But the truth of the matter is the success stories are more often than not.
Monroe County Chief Probation Officer Bob Burns credits a lot of those success stories to the 150 probation officers out on the streets every day and night, checking on the more than 6,200 people on probation across the county. They're making sure those who have been sentenced to probation live where they say they live, have no weapons in the home, no drugs, and in some cases no alcohol. Most are surprise visits.
We are not police officers, but very similar. We're not therapists or counselors, but very similar. We're not teachers, but our work certainly involves teaching. We have a dual role. We are New York State peace officers, so we have an obligation to enforce orders of the court, to enforce New York State law, and that's why our officers have the ability to make arrests and to search and to seize property and so on. But we are also obliged to do our best to change criminal thinking.
That means Todd and Mike, who have backgrounds in social work and sociology, will often connect their probationers with social services, make sure they're getting drug and alcohol treatment, and like with this other probationer we met, encourage them on job searches and education.
When do you get the GED results?
The probation office here has never had an incident where anyone was seriously injured, but this weekend marks the second close call in just months. Safety is always top of mind.
I would find it hard to believe that they were specifically targeted, but it speaks to some of the danger that's out there.
Burns says that we don't, of course, imprison everyone who has been arrested, and not everyone requires being behind bars. That's why he says the quiet and behind-the-scenes work that these probation officers do every day is absolutely necessary for a safe society.
We're in the business of redemption. We are trying to work with people to address issues that got them to where they are, and we want them to succeed.
Christina Dominguez, YNN